who is a monk? And someone who's detached from the world or very much a part of the world and material world, I mean. And what is the role of a monk? Is there any description? Is there a AI generated answer to this or a Wikipedia answer to this or something? Or does everybody have a separate definition?
Right. But first of all, my sincere gratitude, Smita ji, for giving me this opportunity to be here as a part of your podcast. And I remember, I think we met at a wedding, and
Yes.
that's where you asked me to come over as a
My
guest.
goodness.
I remember very
You
well.
remember? Okay.
And I said, yeah.
Yes, I've been waiting since then.
When you asked me to come, I said, do you have any questions that you could ask to me?
Absolutely.
You said, we'll figure the questions out.
I'm not going to ask you political questions. So.
But no, such a joy, and
Thank you.
my sincere gratitude.
Thank you.
But in answer to that question, is there a standard definition of a monk? Who is a monk? Is a monk a part of the world, or is a monk withdrawn and aloof from the world? I think I would like to refer to the Gita here. And in the Gita, Arjun is not someone who's withdrawn.
Correct.
Arjun is very much a part of the world. Arjun is on the battlefield of Kurukshetra fighting a battle in as much as most of us are fighting battles every day. We are fighting battles within the body. There are battles going on which leads up to diseases. So much battle going on inside. The body is a battleground. Within the mind, there's a lot of battles going on. At our workplace, there's a lot of battles going on. In our life, there are a lot of battles going on. So I think Kurukshetra is not just a battlefield. Life is a battlefield.
But Arjun is not a monk. He's not a sadhu, guru. Maybe Dronacharya is one, or Bhishma Pitama in some respect.
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
Okay.
So Arjun, being a part of the battlefield, apparently is not a monk, like you very rightly pointed out. You could probably refer to Bhishma, who was like a celibate, as a monk. But Arjun, no, he had a family, he had wives, he had responsibilities, he had power. And right there on the battlefield, Krishna spoke to him the Bhagavad Gita, which was imparting to him what I refer to as the monk mindset.
Okay.
Monkhood is less about externals. Monkhood is a lot about internal principles and mindsets. If somebody cracks that mindset, if someone masters that mindset, you could be in a boardroom leading a company and be a monk.
Okay.
And somebody who hasn't cracked that mindset could be wearing these clothes and not be a monk. So the externals have very less to do with what a monk is. Yes, in the traditional stereotypical sense, we would say a monk is somebody who is left the world, who practices celibacy, who practices meditation, who lives in a monastery, who is very aloof, who is detached. These are the very stereotypical ideas of what we have as in terms of what a monk is. But to be honest, that's not what I think monkhood is about. Monkhood is really about the mindset. You can have somebody, as an example, so I don't want to take names, but like me, donning this saffron garb and be extremely attached to what I have. And you could have somebody who is a business honko and be extremely detached and adding tremendous value to the society by contributing from what he or she has. You know? Now, where is detachment then?
Okay.
You know? So monkhood means detachment. Does detachment giving everything up? No. Detachment means a mindset.
Okay.
So sometimes you could be in the world and be detached, and sometimes you could be out of the world and be extremely attached. Of course. That's not to take away from people who live as monks. That's not to dismiss what they practice in their lives. The point being, monkhood is for everybody. For some in an external sense, for everybody in an internal sense. Imagine if we could control our minds. Like a lot of times we lose our tempers, you know. And when we lose our tempers, like they say, when the head is hot, the tongue starts working faster than the mind. So our words are unprocessed. They're raw. We end up saying things that we regret. We type a message and send a message which we regret. Imagine having the monk's mindset of holding back. Imagine having the monk's mindset of taking charge and saying, no, I won't allow my mind to rule at this point in time. I'll allow my power of discrimination, what's called as viveka, to take charge. So then how is monkhood just related to a monastery? No, it isn't. Viveka is the power of discrimination.
Oh.
Viveka is the power of discrimination that tells you the difference between good and bad,
Okay.
right and wrong. So there's my mind and there's my intelligence, and my intelligence has one feature, which is vivek.
Okay.
One feature of the intelligence is to grasp, right? Understand, decode. But the other feature of the intelligence is to discriminate. So I had a bad experience with somebody. My intelligence, my viveka tells me, don't go back to that person. I had a great experience with somebody. My viveka tells me, oh, hang out with him. So my mind, when it's extremely angry, when it's very upset, wants to yell, wants to scream, wants to give back, wants to say things that are absolutely unpleasant and not done. In such a situation then, imagine having the monk mindset, which now refers to, or which now connects to the viveka than the mind. So in which case then the monk mindset is available to everybody. Yes, the life of a monk may or may not. Life of a monk will be available to very few people who may kind of leave the world and, stay in a monastery and live in a way that is not a part of the regular norms of society. But the monk mindset is for everybody, which is exactly why it's about the inside more than the outside. And yes, the outside also matters. Not that I'm not saying that, not dismissing that. But that's only for a select few people. And everybody who's watching this, I must say that each one of you can be a monk without having to leave home, without having to leave family, without having to leave your professions and careers, but mastering the mindset, which is a part of being a monk.
Swamiji, there are many people who are fearful or wonder whether to go to a satsang or whether to go to a monastery and listen to a monk or a sadhu or whatever the word that you want to use to get more knowledge, because family tells them mat jana क्योंकि फिर परिवार से रिश्ता तोड़ना होगा.
बिल्कुल.
Right? So that fear that I will have to give up all and I'll get seduced by the conversation because it is so seductive that,
Correct.
To control your mind should be very interesting. And then there are examples which we have seen in the past, like famous people, like Vinod Khanna, maybe an actor, who left home and he left fame and he went off to the Rajneesh ashram, left everything. So everybody, that fear is there कि कहीं हम वैसे ना बन जाए, हमारा बेटा वैसा ना बन जाए, बेटी वैसा ना बन जाए.
बिल्कुल.
So what do you say to that seeking knowledge from a monk comes with a price to pay?
I think सबसे पहले तो हमको ये समझना चाहिए कि अध्यात्म तोड़ने के लिए नहीं, जोड़ने के लिए बना हुआ है. It's not about breaking, it's about connecting. So the general idea of spirituality, adhyatma, is about leaving. But the true idea of spirituality or adhyatma is not about leaving, it's about living. We are going to a satsang not to leave, we are going to a satsang to learn how to live. The words sound very similar, leave and live, with the difference of a spelling, right? But I completely agree with you, to be honest, that we can be fearful because of the kind of examples that we may have seen earlier. But those examples are very select few.
Sure.
Very few people who may be so influenced by a spiritual path, a spiritual leader, a satsang, a spiritual organization, might actually take that plunge full on and leave home and earth and go be a part of an ashram or a monastery. But how many examples do we have, right? Which is why I come back to the Gita. The Gita is integration, not isolation. The path of spirituality, the path of the Gita doesn't teach us to live in isolation from the world. It teaches us to live in integration with the world. And when we live in integration with the world, it's like, you have your phone right here, and your phone battery probably lasts for about 20-24 hours. I don't know how long it lasts, but maybe 20 plus hours, based on how long you use it and how often you use it, right? But after those 20 hours or 24 hours, you're going to have to charge the phone. So what do? You connect it to a power source to charge it, so then you can continue using it for the next 24 hours. Consider satsang as a charging point, right? And your life outside is like using the phone. But every now and then when you go to a satsang, you're not going to a satsang to isolate yourself. You're going to a satsang in a way that you can charge yourself so that you can integrate with the world with the right mindset.
So to charge yourself, does one have to give up on electronic devices, leather nahi पहनना, वेजिटेरियन फूड खाना है, खादी कपड़ा पहनना है या लाल रंग के कपड़े पहनने हैं, and then give yourself up completely? It is hard to do that. So when you come to the stage of doing all that, you've already made a commitment to leave part of that material world.
Correct. I think it's like this. You know, when a guy falls in love with a girl, sorry for the example.
It's fine. Most natural thing to
Natural
happen.
thing to happen. When a guy falls in love with a girl, let's say the girl is vegetarian and the boy is a non-vegetarian guy. Now, in a relationship where there's an understanding between each other, dietary choices, religious and faith-affiliated choices, political choices don't necessarily bother the bond that they share. Correct? A bond should be unaffected. A true bond between a man and a woman should be unaffected by religious faiths. It should be unaffected by political affiliations or religions. It should be unaffected by dietary preferences. It should be unaffected even by one's upbringings, from the kind of upbringings they've come from.
In an ideal world, yes.
In an ideal world, yes. But
or
they do.
ideal relationship.
Ideal relationship. But, you know, you wouldn't bring these things, ideally. Now, however, as the relationship deepens, both partners are willing to kind of adjust.
Correct.
Both are willing to adjust because they have a purpose together. So when you begin the path of spirituality, it's not about quitting. Quitting this or wearing this or, living in a certain way. No, it's not. I again and again come back to this point that it's about the mindset. It's about including those right kind of values, those right kind of principles, those right kind of tenets in our life in a way that we feel empowered to live an integrated life, not an isolated life. However, as our commitment to a path increases, it's like a lady and a man, their commitment to each other increasing, correct? Now, as a natural consequence of that commitment, when you want to quit a few things so that you kind of go more deeper, that's a natural consequence. It's a natural consequence. So, I'm not someone who's going to kind of say, okay, you have to be a vegetarian or you can continue being a non-vegetarian. Spirituality is about the principle of compassion. Let's go above dietary preferences and say that it's about compassion. Now, shouldn't compassion extend to every living being?
Yes.
Yes. So when we start evolving and becoming deeply spiritual, it's not because I'm told by an organization, it's not because this is a requirement of a particular path, it's not because it's a fashion now to do. It's because I am evolving and I want to live by these principles, right? So that's when then your dietary choices probably move more towards being a vegetarian as a choice and not as a force. My clothes, right? I don't think spirituality has anything to do with clothes.
Then why do you wear this color? And why
This
do you
is
wear
because
this?
as a monk, right? I've chosen to live in a monastery. And I'll get back to why I wear this particular color, right? But I come back to that earlier point I mentioned. I could be wearing these clothes and not having the monk mindset at all.
Sure, of course.
What's the point? And you could be dressed up in a designer sari, Smita madam, and you could be having a better sense of detachment and control over your mind than I do, right? So how did clothes matter? Yes, definitely clothes are reminders to us in terms of the kind of lifestyle we should lead. For example, a policeman putting a uniform on, or one of the members of any of our defense forces, Navy, Army, Air Force, they have uniforms. Now, wouldn't they have dedication without uniform? They still would have dedication without the uniform. Wouldn't they be skilled enough without the uniform? They still would be skilled enough without the uniform. Wouldn't they have that missionary zeal to protect the country without the uniform? They would still have it. Then why the uniform? Right? Because the uniform is a reminder of what they represent. A uniform is also a reminder to their own selves of what they represent and what they stand for, and also a reminder to everybody else of what their role in the society is, right? So without the uniform, they'll still be fine.
Sure.
But with the uniform, it just adds value. So monks who live a life of some complete isolation, some a mix of isolation and integration, some integration, would generally wear a certain kind of garb to remind themselves of what they have chosen, and to also remind others of what is their role in the society and what is their contribution to the society and the lives of others. In particular, of the color that I wear, the orange or the saffron or the bhagwa that I wear, in the traditions or in our ancient traditions, the orange color represented the flames of fire. Right? So, in the Vedic tradition, in the Hindu tradition, you will find that when somebody leaves this world, then their cremation is with the flames of fire, which basically means it's finished now, death, right? So when you don this garb, what it really kind of indicates is that I'm now no longer just living for myself. That life is dead. And now I'm living for others. So what this is meant to remind me is my life is not just a life of self-aggrandizement. My life is a life of contribution to people in the world. So that's what it's meant to remind me. Whether I live by that or not is another question. Whether people who don this garb live by that is a different question. But that's what it's meant to remind us and others of. ना आपने कभी अगर खीर बनाई हो तो खीर में हम लोग कई बार केसर डालते हैं
जी,
सैफरॉन
जी।
तो केसर में कई बार ना मॉइस्चर होता है तो अगर केसर डालना हो खीर में तो हम पहले उस केसर को तवे पे थोड़ा गर्म करते हैं ताकि उसका मॉइस्चर निकल जाए। फिर एक छोटी कटोरी में दूध लेते हैं और फिर उसमें भिगो के फिर उसमें उसको मसलते हैं बहुत। जब उसको मसलते हैं तो 2-3 चीजें होती है। उसका जो रंग है उस छोटे दूध या पानी में रंग आने लगता है उसमें, और फिर उसकी जो खुशबू है वो भी उसमें आने लगती है, और उसका जो स्वाद है वो तीनों आता है। रंग आता है, खुशबू आती है और स्वाद आता है। फिर आप जब उसको खीर में मिलाते हैं तो उस खीर का जो जायका है वो एक अलग ही होता है।
सोने पे सुहागा
है ना, केसर वाली खीर, केसर वाला दूध। तो मुझे कई बार लगता है ना कि जो मंक है, ये जो कपड़े पहने, ये एक रिमाइंडर है कि हम भी केसर की तरह है। भूने जाने के लिए तैयारी होनी चाहिए, तप होना चाहिए। तप का मतलब ही है तप्यन्ते इति तपः, जो तपता है वो तप। केसर को तपाया जाता है, उसको भूना जाता है, और हम सब तप कर रहे हैं। इट्स नॉट जस्ट दैट monks are doing tap, everybody is doing tap, but when you voluntarily embrace it for the benefit of others, it's called tap.
Okay.
Otherwise people are stuck in the traffic. It's like tap in one sense, but it's not voluntary. So when you voluntarily choose to take inconvenience on yourself for the convenience of others,
you don't get tempted ever, you didn't get tempted ever कि मैं कुछ और पहन लूँ कभी? Do you get tempted at all कि कुछ और खा लूँ, कुछ और पहन लूँ?
अगर मैं ये कहूँ कि मुझे कोई टेम्पटेशन हो ही नहीं, तो मैं ना अपने आप को लार्जर देन लाइफ बताने लगूंगा दुनिया को। और मैं कभी दुनिया को अपने आप को लार्जर देन लाइफ नहीं बताना चाहता। मैं साधक हूँ, मेरी एक जर्नी है, मेरा एक सफ़र है, मेरी एक यात्रा है, और इस सफ़र में हम हमेशा आगे बढ़ते रहते हैं। ये कहना कि मुझे कभी कोई टेम्पटेशन नहीं हो, ये ईश्वर बनने के जैसा है। Can I compare myself with God? If audience, if you believe in one, if you don't, larger than life. क्या मैं अपने आपको ब्रह्मांड के इतना बड़ा यूनिवर्स, आज की मॉडर्न लैंग्वेज में, मॉडर्न पार्लेंस में गॉड नहीं बोलो तो यूनिवर्स बोलते हैं, समथिंग लार्जर देन अस। I'll probably start comparing myself to something very larger than me to say that I'm now a perfect human being and there's no perfect human being in the world, right? So मैं ना एक हमेशा कहानी बताता हूँ, मुझे बहुत भाती है कहानी, बहुत अच्छी लगती है कहानी। एक गांव में एक साधु रहते थे, और आश्रम था उनका, रास्ते पे ही पड़ता था आश्रम, तो हमेशा अपने आश्रम में बैठे रहते थे, रास्ते पे ही था, तो लोग आया जाया करते थे, उनको देखते थे, दर्शन करते थे। लंबी दाढ़ी थी उनकी। और एक जो वॉशरमैन था, धोबी था, वो अपने गधे के साथ हमेशा वो रास्ते से जाया करता था और इनको ना बहुत चिढ़ाया करता था। ही वुड टेक द टेल ऑफ द डोंकी एंड वेव इट इन फ्रंट ऑफ द साधुज आइज, और पूछता था, महाराज जी मेरे गधे की पूंछ के बाल बड़े हैं या अच्छे हैं, महान है, कि आपकी दाढ़ी महान है? ऑलवेज आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन। और ये साधु जी कहते थे, आपके गधे के पूंछ के बाल अच्छे हैं, वो मेरी दाढ़ी से कहीं गुना महान है। रोज ऐसा कहा करते थे। एवरी डे ही वुड आस्क द सेम क्वेश्चन, एवरी डे दिस साधु वुड आंसर लाइक दिस। और एक दिन जब ये जा रहा था और उसने सवाल पूछा, तो साधु ने कहा, मेरी दाढ़ी आपके गधे के पूंछ के बाल से महान है।
क्यों?
हाँ, तो वो भी उसके मन में वही सवाल है, भाई क्यों? आज तक तो आपने हमेशा कहा कि मेरे गधे की पूंछ के बाल आपकी दाढ़ी से ज़्यादा महान है, आज ये कैसे कर रहे हैं? तो साधु बोले, देखिए कि कल वैद्य आए थे और वैद्य जी ने कहा कि अभी मेरा समय आ चुका है और आज ही मैं चला जाऊंगा इस दुनिया से, I'll die. The Vaidya, the doctors told me that my time has come, I'll die today. Any time now I'm going to die. तो कल तक, till yesterday, there was a scope for me to be tempted and leave this path. Which is why I would always say that आपके गधे के पूंछ के जो बाल हैं वो मेरी दाढ़ी से ज़्यादा महान है। लेकिन आज अब हो गया, I didn't fall to any temptation, I didn't become a victim of any temptation throughout my life, and today now I'm dying. Today I can with great conviction and with hand on my heart say, हाँ मेरी दाढ़ी आपके गधे की पूंछ के बाल से ज़्यादा बड़ी महान है। तो ये कहना कि टेम्पटेशन नहीं हो, ये जाती होगी। ये कहना कि टेम्पटेशंस में से नेविगेट करने की कला सीख लिए, ये शायद रियलिटी है।